Traveling is his profession. Bradley Mayhew writes tourist guides, mostly about Asia. This time, he is working on a very special project, an adventure, an experiment. He retravels a route taken by a merchant from Venice more than 750 years ago. He is happy with any transport he can get. Always east, along the Great Silk Road. Through remote mountain ranges, inhospitable deserts and ancient cities, Bradley Mayhew follows the route of Marco Polo. From Venice to Beijing, through countries such as Iran and Afghanistan, 10,000 kilometers overland, a journey as great an adventure today as in Marco Polo's time. Afghanistan. There has been almost continuous war here for 30 years. Ahead of Bradley lies no easy terrain. The first city behind the border. In the center looms the citadel. Over and over again it was destroyed and repeatedly rebuilt. The latest wars have also left their mark. Today, the citadel is restored. The architect Daoud Sadiq directs the construction work.
And was this bombed also by the Soviets in the 1980s?
Yeah, absolutely. There was absolutely. Here was the Soviet Union, and the western side was the Mujahideen. They were attacking directly to the citadel.
And the people in the city was in between. But Herat's seen a lot of violence for the last 2,000 years.
Yeah.
Daoud works for the Aga Khan Foundation, which helps to bring some sort of peaceful normality back into the Afghanis' everyday lives. To restore landmark buildings is part of that process. People can once again enjoy their citadel. Before restoration can begin, mines and unexploded ordnance have to be cleared. It will take decades to free the land from this particularly dangerous threat, assuming that's even possible. Marco Polo found the melons of this region to be the sweetest and juiciest in the world.
Take this one. I'm meeting a lady at her office, so I think I should take a gift. It's melon season, so this one will do.
Bradley wants to get to the outskirts of Herat. There, a special Afghani aid organization is located in a plain red brick building. Hakima Hakimi is 25 years old. She has studied law in Tehran, and today she represents women in court. But mainly she fights for the many street children in Herat.
This isn't just a normal school, is it?
They are here for 2 hours during the day because they work in the streets and they need to earn money to protect their family and to help their parents. Most of their parents, especially their fathers, are addicted, and they are jobless, and they don't work, so they can support their family.
So it's a safe place for them. They can come during the day for a few hours.
They aren't safe out of here, in the streets, in their home. But we try to make a safe and a friendly place for them.
Not long ago, there was fighting in the streets of Herat. Slowly, normality is returning. The merchants are back, as well as the artisans. Sayadullah, for example, he is one of the last remaining men who still knows how to blow the famous Herat glass. The deep blue comes from lapis lazuli, which is mined in the mountains of Afghanistan, and about which Marco Polo reported. Only in a relatively peaceful city like Herat, an Afghani woman and a stranger can walk the city streets without harassment. During the time of the Taliban, the city's music school was closed. Now the tabla and harmonium classes are very much in demand. Soon, women will be admitted too. Music classes are, at least in Herat, once again a part of normal life.
Taliban didn't believe to music and the movie and cinema, everything, because they told that we are the original Muslims, and Islam don't allow you to listen music, to studying music, to teaching music. Music was off.
Off. Yeah. So you just turned it off.
Yeah. For everywhere and for everyone. The Taliban forced women to stay at home and don't studying and don't learning, and to their fathers get married them without asking them. They don't like their husbands, they don't like their lives, and they don't like their children.
They are victims of archaic traditions, of war and drugs. Hakima will continue to take care of Herat's children. Bradley has to say goodbye now. He wants to get to the north of Afghanistan.
I actually feel quite safe in Herat. Feels just like a normal city. But I've been told over and over again that anything can happen at any time. It's a very fluid situation. There's violence always on the edge of town, so I'm getting on in years, and I'm a married man now, so I'm going to take the easy option, divert from Marco Polo a little bit and take a shortcut by plane over to Masar-e Sharif and avoid the dangerous road in between.
The road from Herat to the north is said to be amongst the most dangerous in the whole country. Bandits are more of a risk here than the Taliban. Kidnapping is a profitable business. An overland drive would have taken 2 days. By plane, it takes just about 2 hours to the biggest city in northern Afghanistan. The city grew up around this shrine. It is the only sanctuary in which both rival religious factions, the Shiites and the Sunnis, pray together. This shrine has always been a place of peace. until the Taliban came.
During the Taliban days, the Taliban actually ate the pigeons and killed the rest of them. And since the Taliban left, the pigeons have come back slowly. Locals see that as a sign, I think, for the continuing and increasing peace in Afghanistan. So it's a kind of a symbol for hope in Mazar. It's nice to see them back here.
The Hazrat Ali Shrine is the most important pilgrimage destination in Afghanistan. Here, the Prophet's son-in-law is said to be buried, the last leader of the Muslims before Islam was divided into Shiite and Sunni factions. That is why people pray here together. Conflicts in Afghanistan are countless, between tribes, between warlords, between the government and the Taliban. At the Hazrat Ali Shrine, all that seems far away.
This is what I dreamed of. I've been reading of Afghanistan for 20 years, and what I've been dreaming of is right here. It's very special for me.
The peace here is deceptive. A traveler should always keep this in mind.
Yeah, outside the mosque, when the sun goes down, I wouldn't want to be there. But with the sun up, inside the mosque during prayer time, it's a brief moment of relaxation before the guards come back up again when we head outside.
Only with an armed guard can Bradley dare to enter an area which is considered to be dangerous, in which the Taliban have once again gained in strength. The drive takes Bradley back in time. From the beginnings of the caravan trade up until the 13th century, this was the vibrant heart of the Silk Road. The large adobe walls indicate its former size. Although to a considerable extent already destroyed, the city impressed Marco Polo, the legendary city of Balkh.
Balkh is a noble city and great. And there were formerly many fine palaces and buildings of marble, and the ruins of them still remain. Well, this is the ancient city of Balkh. This is where Zarathustra first worshipped fire, first came up with Zoroastrianism. This was also where Alexander the Great founded his first city here in this part of Asia. Actually, Marco Polo says this was where he married the beautiful Roxanna.
Balkh's wealth attracted conquerors. Alexander was followed by Scythians, Parthians, and by the nomadic Kushan. In the 1st century after Christ, Balkh was the center of the huge territory they controlled.
The Kushan Empire spread all the way from Mediterranean to India and northwest China, and this was the glory days of the Silk Road when the caravans crossed the whole of Asia throughout the Kushan Empire.
After the Buddhist Kushan, Arabic Islamic dynasties took over, and then came Genghis Khan.
In 1220, the Mongols pulled up outside of Balkh, marched the 100,000 plus inhabitants out onto the plain, divided them up into neat little sections, slaughtered them to a man. Balkh itself never really recovered from that. It fell into decline. Malaria and cholera took hold outside the city, and Marco Polo actually got sick around Balkh, probably from malaria, and had to go up to the mountains of Badakhshan to recover from that.
The mountains in the northeast of Afghanistan are also Bradley's destination. Unfortunately, the route leads through a risky area. Luckily for Bradley, the International Security Assistance Force for Afghanistan helps him out with a seat in one of their planes. The north of Afghanistan is under the command of the German Armed Forces. Germans patrol the most remote and wild part of Afghanistan's north, the province of Badakhshan.
Salam. Lajwad. Lapis. Polish lapis. Mines of Badakhshan have been supplying almost the entire world's production of lapis for the last 6,000–7,000 years. Everyone from Cleopatra to the Romans, Mesopotamians, they all wanted this stuff. It's very prized, worth its weight in gold in classical times. And Marco Polo was the first person to locate the European world where the lapis came from. It was a big mystery up until then. There are mines up here in Badakhshan somewhere. I'm going to try and locate them and try and see where this stuff comes from. I've heard it's a long, difficult trek, but give it a go.
The route will lead Bradley into an area where Western foreigners should avoid attracting too much attention.
We're getting some local fashion tips from the Pfizer buddies. They say this one's the way to go, so I trust them. I'm not sure if I should be offended when they say this is my size.
Wearing a shalwar kameez, the traditional Afghan dress, Bradley starts his search for the blue stone. Bradley, 40 years old, British, married, lives in the United States. He couldn't be further away from home.
This tie's even worse than the last one.
In a village, Bradley is expected by Ibrahim Mazoon.
Oh, good to see you. Nice to see you. Welcome to Balkh. You can hand over your...
Ibrahim works for the Aga Khan Foundation, one of the few organizations to bring assistance to the mountain farmers in this remote region. Farmland is rare. Only in the narrow river valleys and only on irrigated fields can farmers grow food. Without the help of the Aga Khan Foundation, the farmers would probably still grow opium. Now they have an alternative. The villagers do all the work by themselves. A new canal, 2 kilometers long, will bring water to new fields. To cut it out of the rock, mere picks and spades are not enough. In this part of Afghanistan, dynamite is a blessing. Ibrahim has organized a good car with a good driver. Even so, it takes the Jeep more than 6 hours to cover the last 30 kilometers. Then, heavily guarded, the mining village. Since ancient times, this has been the base of the lapis lazuli miners. There are 30 to 40 mines in the mountains above the village, according to Aga Saeed. He has been living here for 50 years. As ultramarine, the blue from beyond the sea, lapis lazuli was frequently used by medieval painters. Marco Polo describes the mineral and its mining in detail. Even today, up to 2,000 men work in the mines during the summer.
There are mines dotted all up and down this valley. There's one right up there that I would love to go in and have a look, but the security situation is not good. The precious stones are almost as dodgy a topic as opium production around here, so this is as far as the police allow me to go.
اونا که داخل میرن و در اون خطوری که با گذاری گیسو میرن شخص سفید است باز که فایر میپرونن میزنن بازی رک میبره این رک بار آمد بازی رک که زده رفتن بازی کلان میشن کلان که شد بود در داخلی رک لوجوار میبره این نتیجهش همیست که دمی رک میبره.
The cornflower blue pigment is now produced artificially.
Oh, good. Yeah.
But for best quality stones, the men still get good money.
This was actually a very important center for the Mujahideen. They would take big donkey loads full of the lapis and then carry it over the Hindu Kush, over the passes into Pakistan, sell it for US dollars, and then buy missiles. And that was one way that they funded the resistance against the Soviets. So this place has a really fascinating history, whether it's 20 years ago or 2,000 years ago. It's as economically vibrant as it was back then.
Thank you.
The last stretch of road in Afghanistan. The beard trimmed, a fresh shirt. A last wrecked tank on the roadside. For 3 weeks, Bradley has been on the road in this war-torn country, and he is glad that everything went well.
Keeping me safe and sound in Afghanistan.
Thanks in no small part to Ibrahim Mazoon and Mohammed the driver. They will meet again. Inshallah. God willing. On the border of Afghanistan and Tajikistan, a unique market is held every Saturday.
No man's land. This side Afghanistan, this side Tajikistan, on an island in the middle of the Panj River, the upper Oxus, Amudarya. On this side are all the Afghan traders, on this side all the Tajik traders. Superb market. Canned goods from Russia. Coca-Cola, made in Afghanistan. Rice from Peshawar in Pakistan. Soap powder from Iran this way. Washing up liquid from Turkey even further. Classic Silk Road market. Marco Polo would have loved it. Headscarf from Tajikistan. Just like this one.
Tajikistan, a small country in Central Asia. For more than 50 years, it was part of the Soviet Union. People are celebrating in Ishkashim's stadium. 13 years ago to the day, the civil war in Tajikistan ended. It started right after the collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991 and plunged the country into chaos.
Welcome to the Republic of Tajikistan, celebrating the, over 10 years ago was the end of the Civil War, so there's a big parade here to celebrate that. Feels like a giant leap in time from the Afghan border. In some ways it feels like coming straight into the future, but not quite now, more like 20 years ago when the Soviet Union was still around.
He has already crossed 6 countries on his way to China. Tajikistan is like coming home for Bradley. He has been here many times. And here he is not only asking about Marco Polo, but also room rates, with and without breakfast.
So how much is the price just for sleeping?
It's $8.
Okay. And when do you think those rooms will be ready?
They're now working fast, maybe after 2 weeks maximum.
Okay. Yeah, here in Tajikistan I'm doing 2 jobs at the same time. I'm not only trying to track down Marco Polo's route, but doing my day job at the same time, updating the Lonely Planet Guide to Central Asia. So it's a lot of trying to track down accommodation, detective work really. Transport stuff, it's really my bread and butter work. This is what I do day in and day out. This is a day at the office for me on my normal job.
To search for traces of Marco Polo, who passed by here 750 years ago, Bradley has teamed up with ethnologist Umid Bulbul Shoaev, a friend he knows from an earlier journey. The two plan to travel together for at least 2 weeks. You buy provisions straight out of the back of a truck here. But the most important thing is to find a reliable car and driver.
Filling up with some dodgy side petrol. A couple of guys with some jerry cans just brought it down the street. This is a petrol station in Tajikistan. Hopefully it's good petrol. If it's not, we'll find out in about 30 kilometers. Let's go.
With his 35-year-old Soviet Jeep, Shob Kadyrov, 47 years old, normally brings passengers to the Tajik capital, Dushanbe. But he also knows his way around the so-called Wakhan corridor. The Wakhan Valley cuts right through the mighty mountain ranges as its most important east-west passage. Armies, missionaries, and traders like Marco Polo have trekked through this valley since time immemorial. A southern branch of the Silk Road ran straight through the valley, and some of its ancient rest stops are still in use. Bradley and Umid are looking for a place to stay. The people here are Ismailis, a small subsect of Shia Islam. Their songs tell about the arduous life in one of the poorest regions of Central Asia. When the Soviet Union collapsed, the people here were hit especially hard. Little grows at this altitude, and local people still struggle to make a living. But whenever guests arrive, they offer whatever they have.
15-20 years ago, the country was in civil war, and the palmies here, although they look so beautiful and idyllic, they were almost on the verge of starvation here. And there's very few economic opportunities in this valley and in most of the palmies in Badakhshan. So tourism is really one of the very few ways to get a little extra income, a little influx of cash into the local economy.
Bradley and Umid are shown around by the Khalifa, the secular and religious head of the community. The shrine was one of the places where their unique brand of Islam survived during the Soviet times. Ismailis have no mosques, no call to prayer.
So during Soviet Union time, this kind of shrines didn't stop, but they were used by people, used them as a religious site, but from the government side they were announced as a historical site, and therefore they were protected.
When a house is built in the village, the whole community turns out to help. The Khalifa blesses the building. The Ismailis follow a relaxed and undogmatic form of Islam that is rooted in daily life. After praying together, they will eat together and then work together. Marco Polo is said to have spent several months in the Wakhan corridor, recuperating from an illness, probably malaria. Old, partly ancient fortifications tower above a strategically important stretch of the trade route. Often, the exact route of the Silk Road is mere guesswork. Here, it is right before your eyes.
There would have been caravanserais here, probably Bactrian camels winding their way down this valley. This was good travel, easy travel down this valley. It was one of the favoured routes over the high mountains of the Pamirs.
They brought with this way many technology, melting iron technology, gunpowder.
Ideas, music, art, it all kind of meshed as different cultures met on these trade routes. They would take away ideas and take them away back to their land. So that's really the legacy of the Silk Road. But yeah, it's amazing to be actually right in the spot where Marco Polo would have stood, rested for the night, and should I go left, should I go right? One of those pivotal decisions for him, and carried on that way. So it's, yeah, another place where you can really connect to Marco Polo's trip. And the scene hasn't changed, I mean, since he was there, definitely. It's right here.
From here, Marco Polo continued onto a high-altitude plain, the Pamir Plateau. Driver Shob knows he can rely on his Soviet Jeep, model WAZ 469, provided he doesn't push it too hard. As long as he doesn't go faster than 30 kilometers per hour, his aging vehicle handles the rough roads and the extreme altitude with ease. The military Jeep, manufactured in the Stalin plant at Ulyanovsk, is more or less indestructible.
This is saying it's like his child. This is his child. I suggested it was like his friend. He says it's like his child. Yeah, the great thing about these Soviet Jeeps is that they're very easy to repair. You can, anything, you have a hammer and a bit of string and you can pretty much repair everything in here. They're very slow, they're very uncomfortable, you can't see anything out the windows, and they smell of petrol all the time. But apart from that, they're perfect.
Then the road leads through a mountain desert, 3,500 meters high, described by Marco Polo as cold, windy, without vegetation, the Pamir Plateau. It's getting dark when the Jeep turns into a remote valley. Bradley knows from a previous visit that Kyrgyz nomads set up camp here during the summer. They pitch their yurts where meltwater allows a little bit of grass to sprout.
Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum.
Hospitality is a matter of course up here. Without hesitation, Shamsi Kulubayev invites the three travelers to stay overnight. It gets freezing cold at night. Terescan bushes are the only available fuel up here to heat the yurt or cook their salted milk tea. The problem is, there are almost no Terescan bushes left. During Soviet times, says Umid, you were supplied with coal and it was forbidden to heat with Terescan, right?
Запрещалось, в общем, копать. А те, люди, которые постоянно зимой и летом жили в горах, ну, они топили. А так в кишлаках, вот там, в районном центре не взяли, не топили. Достанем бензин, продаем овцы, продаем козы или вот эти яки, за это купим. Сколько бы не было дорого бензин.
He says, I think it doesn't matter how much it will be, but we have no another choice. I think we will buy, we will sell our yaks or something else, and to find fuel and car to go as far as it is possible to bring it.
In the high valleys of the Pamir, the herders live with their yaks in near self-sufficiency. When the Terescan is gone, this will not be possible anymore. The nomads need cash in order to buy alternative sources of fuel. Maybe in the future it can be earned from tourists that find their way into these beautiful remote valleys.
Marco Polo was spot on about the cold. I needed my sleeping bag last night and the water in my water bottle froze, so he got that one right. I have a feeling he was up here.
Come on guys, what's going on? John, what's going on?
The severe cold even creates problems for the jeep. Despite this, in the next edition of his guidebook, Bradley will definitely recommend this homestay with Shamsi Kulumbayev on the Pamir Plateau. In the very east of Tajikistan, China is just behind these mountains. Bradley and Umid reach the only noteworthy town on the Pamir Plateau. Here, their ways will part. Umid will return with the jeep. All that remains for Bradley is to say thanks. And to negotiate a ride to China. The Chinese truckers, they are heading in the right direction. Beyond the Pamir Plateau begins the Taklamakan, the world's second largest sand desert. On its western fringes lies an ancient oasis town that has changed dramatically since Marco Polo's time.
Well, finally made it to China. The good news is no more border crossings. The bad news is still only 2/3 of the way through the trip. A long way to go still through China. But it's good to be here. This is one of Asia's great market towns.
Kashgar today is a big modern city, like so many in China. Han Chinese dominate the scene in the center of town, and the Uyghurs, with their typical skullcaps, appear quite marginalized, even though they were once the rulers of this region. The 8 million Uyghurs are only one out of many minorities in China. They are a Muslim minority that has recently become embroiled in a bloody conflict with the government in Beijing.
Well, the Uyghurs are a Turkic people. They're very much Central Asian in their lifestyle, kind of marooned up here in the corners, northwest corner of China. Don't really have much in common with the Chinese. The food's different, the language is different. They're Muslim, so there's not much in common with the local Chinese.
Without consultation, the government has almost completely demolished the traditional clay-built old town of the Uyghurs and resettled the Uyghurs in high-rises. Only a small portion of the old Uyghur town remains. Here, the locals can stay, as long as they don't mind being stared at by Chinese tourists who pay a fee to enter. The last remaining Uyghur quarter has become a museum.
Xinjiang, like Tibet, is one of those places where there's been mass Han Chinese migration. There's just not enough space in China for all the people that want some land. So my feeling is that the Uyghurs have been really marginalized. They've kind of been pushed to the edge of society. Their lands have been squeezed. Their old towns have been squeezed and surrounded by this island of modern Chinese cities. So I think there's a lot of deep-held resentment, frustration amongst the Uyghurs, and sometimes it boils over a little bit.
In Kashgar, the Silk Road splits into a southern and a northern route. Both skirt the edge of the Taklamakan Desert. Marco Polo traveled the southern route. Along here lies an oasis town that is famous for the fabric that gave its name to the trade route. In Khotan, families weave atlas silk. Colorful, strong, and very sturdy. Clothes made from atlas silk are worn across Central Asia, but they originate from here. Only a few families still weave silk. For example, the family of Mehmet Ali. It's just not profitable anymore, Bradley learns. Hand-woven fabrics are far too expensive, almost impossible to sell, says Mehmet Ali. How silkworms are bred, how their cocoons are spun, this was China's great secret. It was here in Khotan that the secret was spilled.
Europe had no idea what silk was about. They thought it grew on trees. They thought it was some kind of white fluffy vegetable or something. They didn't have a clue. The story goes that there was a princess being married out to a Uyghur prince around about the 6th century. And she was headed out towards these barbarian lands outside the Great Wall. And she couldn't bear life without her little luxury of silk, so she hid these little silkworm eggs in a big elaborate hairdo so that the customs officials couldn't see her. And then the secret was out. They couldn't hold it in any longer.
The tradition dates back 1400 years, says Mehmet Ali. However, Mehmet Ali long since branched out into a different market, one that takes place every Friday. At the early age of 13, Mehmet Ali entered into a trade where you can make or break a fortune. Even for professionals, it can be tricky to tell real jade from fake. Traders from all over China come to haggle over green, white, or yellow jade. The Chinese imperial seal was always made of jade. Jade brings luck, heals illness, holds magical powers.
Well, the Chinese have loved this stone for thousands of years. Everything from medicine to ground it up for immortality as a potion. they attribute different kind of qualities to the stone. Like the hardness is supposed to symbolize justice. The warm kind of shine of the stone is supposed to, you know, show humanity and man's quality. But it's a very Chinese thing.
And from this river comes the jade. In former times, people searched for them at full moon nights, feeling them in the riverbed with their bare feet. Mehmet Ali doesn't waste his time on such small-scale methods. He has leased a piece of land further upstream.
Just looking for jade, 21st century Chinese style.
Mehmet Ali has borrowed a lot of money to buy an excavator. With a practiced eye, the men pick the jade directly from the excavator shovel. A 3-kilo piece of jade recently earned Mehmet Ali €40,000. Enough to repay his loan on the spot. 50,000 people work in the jade business, says Mehmet Ali. 30,000 look for jade. The rest work as traders. And everybody hopes for the big find. Marco Polo describes one landscape in great detail, the Taklamakan Desert. Taklamakan means go in and you will never come out again. Beyond the Taklamakan lies the Lop Desert, then the Gobi. 3 days later, Bradley has scored a luxurious ride.
I just managed to get this very sweet ride with Mr. Yen. He's going back to Dunhuang. He tells me he works in the tourism industry there.
Whoever drives east on this route will inevitably pass a construction that extends over 6,500 kilometers and ranks among the 7 wonders of the world.
这是长城吗？
哦，这个是汉长城。
啊，挺好的，本来的。
啊，对，这是最原始的，对，
很老的。
对，很古老的。
啊，还可以。This is a major point for me on the trip. It means that I've reached the beginning of the Chinese world, and it also means that I've reached the dividing line between China and the nomads to the north. So this is really a strategic point.
Marco Polo must have passed the Great Wall somewhere here, but he doesn't mention it at all in his book. For some historians, this is an indication that Marco Polo never made it to China.
The thing about the Great Wall is that its significance lies in its whole length. That's really the power of the Great Wall. And if you just see a section up close, it's not really worth remarking about. So I think that was partly Marco Polo's issue when he came past this section of the wall. Anyway, he probably didn't realize the significance of it.
Not far away is a fort, a gate that in ancient times provided caravans their only passage through the Great Wall. These days, tourist groups flock to this Silk Road landmark. This group came all the way from Shanghai to take pictures of each other in front of the famous Jade Gate.
Yeah, this is one of the great meeting points of Asia. It doesn't look like much, but this is where all the transcontinental trade routes from Asia all kind of funnel into the Hershey Corridor. This is a very romantic place, symbolizes the furthest point in the Chinese Empire.
From the Jade Gate, it is just about 70 kilometers to the oasis town of Dunhuang, which is where friendly driver Mr. Yen lives. Bradley asks whether Yen knows the old name of the town that Marco Polo used. Yen knows it, Shazhou, which means region of sand. 2,000 years ago, the oasis was founded as a caravan stop. Today, it is a spotlessly clean town of 200,000 inhabitants. Most of them are Han Chinese who have moved here from other parts of China to seek work. Especially in the tourism industry, Yen works in this field as well. Bradley learns that Yen actually has quite an unusual job. Yen is working at the edge of the oasis.
This is my People's Liberation Army, great. Okay. Okay, I'm ready.
One of the world's largest deserts. It stretches almost all the way to Beijing, but that's still 2,500 kilometers away. Always along the Silk Road, right into the heartland of China, where Marco Polo spent almost 20 years of his life.